Hey guys, my name is Dennis, better known as Sarcasm of channel 147. I log on to 147 quite a bit, so this has been sort of highly requested, so I'm recording some stuff here specifically for Siege offense. So the goal of this video is going to be to help anybody who's able to watch this video with winning 10 Siege offenses. Defense is pretty cool, and a lot of people are really focused on defense, but offense is really where it's at because that's how you guarantee yourself 150 Siege points. So, a little bit of background about myself. These are my, I guess, credentials. For the most part, I've been free to play for most of the game. 6th anniversary is when I started spending some money, but before then I was a free to play player. So I did get Guardian before I spent any money, so that's kind of cool. And pretty much my experience with this game is, although people spend money on the game, the reality is, I guess we'll look at this pack here. The Memorial Pack, you're spending 30 bucks on almost nothing. So pay to win players in general, they're not getting much benefit. So what that all means is either you have to go crazy and spend a shitload of money because it costs about $8,000 per LD Nat 5, or you're gonna be spending some money and you're almost in the same place as a free-to-play player. So what that means is spending money doesn't give you much in this game. So where people really progress and get better at the game is through understanding the game. So this part of the this is more of like an intro, but what I'm trying to say is if you have an advanced understanding of the game in terms of understanding runes and understanding how to build teams, you're going to be one of the top players in the game. It's really that simple. Regardless of whether you pulled an LD Nat 5 or not, it doesn't matter. So, and I guess to illustrate that example, when I had first started in RTA, like 2 seasons ago was my first RTA, I finished in C1. My rune quality was insanely better than everybody in C1, but I kept on losing. I just repeatedly lost and lost and lost and lost. It's because I didn't understand the RTA meta. But second RTA, I was able to finish in C3, and then I took those ideas. I had some theories after finishing in C3 in season 13 of RTA. Special League just happened, and I went through Special League and I was able to get my first G1 in Special League. And it's just through the process of testing and trial and error. And the reason why I tell this story is because if you're watching this video and you're trying to get better at Siege offense, you're going to embark in the same journey that I just did in order to get better in RTA. Because the reality is, this video is not meant to spoon feed information because I can't. It's not possible. You have to learn it yourself. So this video will provide you with the resources to help you learn it. But if you don't experiment and if you're afraid to fail, then you won't be able to get better at Siege or in general at this game. So let's go ahead and get with that. So pretty much what I like to say is I don't believe in the lottery. I don't believe in getting lucky and winning. I believe that if you want to get better, you have to find a systematic way to dissect your opponent down, I guess is the best way to say it. You have to find a systematic way so that if you lose, you can logically tell yourself, okay, I lost because X, Y, and Z. Or if you won, you can say, I won because I countered this and I did this and then that happened and therefore I won. So, I'm saying all this because what I want you guys to do is when you enter battle, right? Damn it, I already finished my battles. Let's say when you enter battle, I want you to enter the battle screen. I want you to screenshot your team picks. And when you're screenshotting your team picks, I want you to explain to me, like you go on Discord, send your screenshots over to me and explain to me, why did you pick your team relative to the opponent's team, right? For instance, the opponent here has a GN on the first spot, right? So you want to somehow address the GN in the way where you know she provokes. So either you're going to cleanse the provoke or you're going to have immunity, right? And another thing, you want to somehow address the accuracy leader skill because that accuracy leader skill is huge. And then you also want to address the Theomars being the only damage threat. So I want you to logically approach every single defense and kind of logically come up with an answer. So in that way, even if you're failing your attacks, you're still learning. I want you to, again, screenshot it, send it to me, explain to me your thought process, and I'll come back at you and explain where you're right and where you're wrong. And in that way, I can help accelerate your growth. Because no one taught me this. I had to learn it myself, and it took me months. But if you want to learn it fast, I can help accelerate that growth. So I guess the basics. We'll go ahead and cover the basics, and then afterwards I'll throw you guys into watching me attack certain things, and I'll kind of talk my thought process out loud. So the first thing you have to understand is elemental advantage, and I know this is basic, but this really is like the bread and butter of defenses, right? So you look at that second defense, it has the Molong, Tyrannus, and Harmonia. These are classically good defenses. Defenses with 3 different colors, I guess we call them 3-color defenses. These are some of the better defenses. Now, just because it has 3 colors does not mean it's automatically better. In fact, this defense on the right is moderately strong just because it's a cookie cutter copy and paste defense that a lot of people use. But because of that, there's multiple counters to this defense. But that being said, understanding elemental advantage will get you far, right? So in this second defense, you know that the Molong will hit a fire unit historically, right? Most of the time it'll hit a fire unit. So because of that, you can modify the defense in a way where you're forcing the Molong to hit your Harmonia. Or what you can even do is you can go with a double wind offense, and by picking 2 wind units, the Molong will not hit those wind units. So if you pick double wind and maybe you pick like a light golem, the light golem does not lose much HP. So now the light golem can tank the Molong, right? Or you can pick Jolton, the dark werewolf, and the dark werewolf can tank the Molong. So by manipulating the elemental advantage, that's one way to identify the threat and kind of nullify the threat. Now, the next part to that is randomness. Theomars, right? That Theomars there is kind of random. He kind of hits whatever he wants to hit. The second, and also regarding randomness, is stuff that Orion, for example, Orion being a random monster, right? His skill 2 randomly places defense breaks, and his skill 3 also randomly places defense breaks. And those kind of units will throw a wrench in your plan. So the first part is understanding elemental advantage, and the second part is kind of taking that into account with randomness, right? And there's multiple ways to handle randomness. Shield and will runes is one good way. Another way is just straight up outspeeding them. But the reality is, you can't answer everything. And that's why this is a guild battle. If you can't answer it, just leave it for somebody else in your guild who can answer it, right? Because there's nothing worse than actually losing an attack in guild war or losing an attack in siege, because you're denying your guild that resource, because your attacks are resources in the guild. There's a limited amount of members in your guild and a limited amount of attack spots in your guild. So losing an attack not only causes you to lose points, it also causes your whole guild to lose resources. So you want to be very careful with that. If you can't win an attack by systematically looking at this defense and saying, okay, I don't have an answer, don't attack it. Let somebody else do it, right? So identify the threat, counter the threats, elemental advantage. Those are things that are very key. And then next is asking yourself the question, can you copper bulldoze this defense? The thing about Illidrao and about monsters that have defenses at around 700 is you do not want to copper these, because these can be copper traps. Copper trap is a unit that's built with around 2000 defense. Those units likely cannot be coppered unless your copper is specifically built to handle copper traps. So what I'm telling you guys is you should be building coppers and bulldozers as well in order to help you win these battles. And in defenses that you can tell, oh, I can copper doze this, you want to do it. For instance, this defense on the right here with the Fen Yang, the Jian, and the Harmonia, this is a copper doze defense, right? I would open up the battle by bulldozing the the Fan Yang. So we take away the defense breaker immediately. The Jian's gonna provoke, but hopefully your copper has to be on will to do this. So your copper's on will runes, the Jian doesn't do anything, and then you copper the Jian afterwards. And now it's a 1v3 versus Harmonia, which is really easy. So identify defenses that are copper dozerable and dissect the defense down and win that way, right? But I'll give more examples of that when we get into the actual battles, but this is more of like the introduction part of the video. At any case, let's dive right into the battles. Now, just got home from work, so I'm gonna be snacking on stuff. Nat 4 bases, Nat 4 bases are kind of gimmicky, to be honest. A lot of these bases you're gonna have to rely on your teammates. It's very unlikely to solo a tower of these. This tower is pretty weak though. There's not much of anything here. A lot of beating Nat 4 bases just has to do with outspeeding and just Lucianing. Most Nat 4 bases can't handle Lucians. Unless there's like a Commune leader skill or something, which is very common, in which case you might have to build some bombers as well for the Miho. So the water Lucian works really well for that. But then with the Triana, you want to be a little bit cautious of that. Copper dozers work very well against these bases, but again, you want to be cautious about the Triana. Anything with the base defense near 700 can be built into a copper trap pretty easily. Typically, if you build it with 2000 defense, it effectively does copper trap, and you wouldn't be able to win against those defenses. So this defense here, likely we would have to fight it like regular, you know, like I guess an example would be, we can do this defense. I'll take one of my Communes because just such a strong monster. He could kill the Miho. You don't actually have to bomb the Miho, to be honest. So he does some damage, so you definitely want some form of a healer. Doesn't have to be. I don't want to bring Fran, to be honest, just because the Miho will hit the Fran, and my Frans don't have that high of defense. So you could bring the Frans, you could bring the Escher as well. He could tank the Miho. But what I'm looking for is something to heal and something to defense break and heal. Something to heal, defense break, and do damage. Those are the three roles that I'm still lacking. The Commune does some damage and he also does some protection. Need something else that will heal and defense break and do damage. Belladion's a great option here. I'm gonna go with one of my favorites, Ludo. This is how my Ludo is runed, and he does the defense break and the damage. So now all I really need is a healer. Chasun works well, especially with the dropping of those. We could do Chasun here. My Chasun is runed really poorly, to be honest. So I think this will be a good example. The other defenses on this base aren't, in my opinion, are not worth showing, so I'm not really going to show them. Not going to show me beating them, because I really don't think it's worth the time to do it. So as a reminder, a couple of things to remind you guys. First of all, always remember to look at the win rate of the defenses as you guys are fighting them, because relatively based on what your level is, especially in the guild, like if you're one of the stronger members, you want to look at the defense win rates, so that way you can beat only you can fight only the defenses that are really powerful, and in that way you'll help your guild, because he's gonna drop his rock when I kill him. Actually, can I just kill him through this passive? Oh, that's okay. Well, So if you're really strong, look at the defenses, so that way you can fight all the strongest defenses that your weaker guildmates can't fight. And if you're a weaker player in the guild, you want to look at the win rates of the defenses, so that way you can avoid those super strong defenses, because there's nothing worse than messing up an attack, because that essentially denies one of your guild's resources. So you really don't want to lose attacks. So if you're a weaker member of the guild, always check those defenses, those win rates, and you can kind of tell, like, this one's 5 out of 4, 5 wins, 4 losses. kind of don't want to attack that if you don't have anything planned to attack, because if you don't win your attacks, that does kind of weigh against your guild. Let's go on this one. Now, this defense is one of my favorite defenses to look at. I think it looks fairly scary, but what needs to be realized about this defense, what's really strong about this defense, I guess we'll start with that, is there's a GN here. And one thing that people forget about, they always just say resistance and accuracy is bullshit. The reality is, resistance and accuracy, if you understand how it works, it makes sense that it's actually not bullshit. Like, yes, I will miss Ciara bombs every now and then. You know, my Ciara has 40 accuracy. I will miss bombs every now and then. But realistically, if you look at the formulas and you go onto the wiki website and actually input some numbers, you realize and understand that resistance and accuracy makes sense. Now, the reason why I'm saying all of this is Jian's leader skill in defense is one of the strongest defenses out of everything else. If I'm being honest, let me look at... So this guy over here, he chooses to use a defense leader skill instead of his Jian's resistance leader skill. And this guy over here chooses to use the HP leader skill instead of the Jian's resistance leader skill. If I'm being honest, personally, I think even with the HP lead and even with the defense lead, I would still go with the Jian's 41 resistance leader skill. It's that powerful. So you really have to understand accuracy and resist. And for that reason, I'm going to bring a Wusa because it has accuracy lead. Now, not everyone here has Wusa, and I get that. But there are other accuracy units. They're kind of exclusive, if I'm being totally honest. I mean, look at LD Nat 5. No, I'm just kidding. This one's an accuracy unit. A lot of these accuracy units are very exclusive. So very likely you won't have an accuracy unit. But if that's the case, you might just need to resort to using Veramos. I can bring up the Veramos and just cleansing out the provoke with your Veramos. My Veramos is runed not on violent. Contrary to popular belief, you don't need it on violent. Just give it some damage and it doesn't just broken sets or whatever the hell else you have. And it works just fine. All you need it to do is cleanse the Jian. And then you realize, okay, the Jian doesn't do much damage. The Chandra doesn't do much damage. He kind of is annoying, you know, he does his annoying stuff. But the reality of this defense is, even though it has super high of a win rate, it's 25 wins, that's kind of a lot. The reality is, this defense is not very strong because there's no defense breaker. And because there's no defense breaker, the Jian really can't do damage. Because there's no defense breaker, the Chandra really can't do damage. The only source of damage is the Skogul, and Skogul's damage is very limited. If this Skogul has 40k HP, at best the Skogul is going to do like 13k damage to each of your units. Like that's nothing. Any AoE healer can heal that through pretty easily. So this defense, in my opinion, pretty weak. I'm going to go with the Wusa here, just because I have it, but I'll attack the other Jian defenses and show you using Veramos. So I'll use the Wusa here, Chandra's here. Yeah, I really don't care too much about this defense. You could do, as long as you have somewhat of a stable healer, it doesn't matter. Just go with the Veramos then. We'll use the Veramos lead. So I have no accuracy lead. So what this means is, unless my defense breaker has high accuracy, this resistance lead is actually going to do a lot of work. So I need a defense breaker now that can do some that has some accuracy. And that has 0 accuracy, so that's never going to land a defense break in this fight. That kind of will work, but I don't like to use him when there's no passives, really. I could cleave with the I could actually cleave with the Belinist. That might not be a terrible idea. Let's go for this. This defense, or this offense that I've chosen, is kind of not too consistent, if I'm being honest with you. The only reason I'm going to win is because my rune quality. So you want to be a little cautious with copying me for this offense, but the idea here is I'm still bringing stuff that can kind of deal with the opponent's the opponent's bullshit. So, jeez, they're so slow. Okay. So we kill the Chandra first because he, well, I don't know. We'll just kill whatever the Belinus feels like killing. I guess that's the right answer. I was gonna say we kill the Chandra first just because he, maybe I should have healed my Veramos, whatever. Let's do that. I'm not gonna AoE heal until, so yeah, because he hugs. That's just trying to finish my thought right there. Wow, that's annoying. I might die here actually. I don't know. The picking Belinus was just not the best option, but it is what it is. So, pretty much, as I said before we started the fight, this is not very consistent because I'm not really countering him. I'm sort of kind of countering him, but not really. So this defense here, it's kind of half of a win rate. I don't want to fight it. That's got nothing. That's really weak. Okay, we'll do this one. So this one is a HP lead, so I'm less worried. So we have to answer the Molong somehow. We also have to answer the Perna somehow. One of the most valuable assets in your offense is going to be wind tanks. So that's a wind tank, that's a wind tank, that's a wind tank. I don't have that many wind tanks, to be honest, and wind nat 5s are really strong. So obviously if you have a Fenyang, that's a wind tank. If you have a Tyrannus, that's a wind tank. I can't think of any else on the top of my head, but those are some wind tanks. I'm going to use this because it provides the immunity and is a wind tank. But pretty much the reason why maybe not everyone has Luis, right? But what I'm calling out is I'm saying you need immunity and you need a wind tank. If you don't have Luis, but let's say you have the monkey, there's your immunity and your wind tank. And I'm also going to say you need a healer. So this covers that. So if you're going to use this as your team, we've found a way to tank the Perna using the monkey. Now we need a fire unit that can sort of heal Nemesis or whatever. Obviously that's the classic example. You don't have to use Harmonia. If your Raccoon is good enough, you could use that too, though I'm a little hesitant to do that. If you have a Kumar, that's a great idea. I mean, there's a lot of fire units. Of course, Kamoon, that's another fire sort of tanky unit as well. But these are some of the options here, right? So there's that. But for me, let's go with Louise. She can nullify the Perna. We can pretty much ignore the Perna at that point. We got a Molong here. I'm gonna just use my Theomars here because this guy is not too weak. And I could use Gani here just to nullify them further. Because I already have all the roles covered. I have the defense breaker from Theo. I have the damage from Theo. I have the immunity, the heal, and the wind tank. The only role that's not covered is the fire tank. So we don't have to use Harmonia here, but just for overkill, I'm going to go for it. So you'll notice that some people will build multiple dupes of certain units, and it's because of Siege. You saw my friends. I have multiple friends, and it's because of Siege that I do that. So, yep, ignore that. She procs a few times, typical, and there it is. Okay, we'll just kill that right off. Yeah, we'll just kill it. Okay, cool. He didn't proc on me, but even if it did proc, I'm not too worried because we have immunity. So the immunity serves like multiple purposes. And we can ignore the Perna until the end, honestly, because we have double healer. So double healer is a really good format to have when you're countering defenses. A lot of the times, the defenses that you're countering, double healer or double support double healer-ish, double support, plus 1 main damage dealer is a really good format to use if you're kind of unsure of what you're going for. Okay, cool. And now we auto. Yep, I just got home, so I'm gonna sort of eat throughout the video. So, in this example, I'm using a monster, a wind tank, to effectively nullify one of his main threats. I've identified that the Perna is a threat, the Molong is a threat. So as you can see, the Molong's a threat. I've countered it using Harmonia by tanking the Molong. And then the other threat is the Perna, which I've countered using the Paladin. So that's good. I'm gonna look for a strong defense that I can. Yeah, that defense is kind of weak. This one's a really strong defense. You can see that this guy's Guardian ranked, so let's go for this guy. So he's Guardian ranked. What this means is, if you're not one of the stronger members of the guild, you want to look at this defense and say, okay, maybe I should give this to someone else. And if you're one of the stronger members of the guild, you should be looking at this defense and saying, okay, I need to take this, because if I don't take this, nobody else can. Okay, so I apologize, I was eating. So, a couple of things that we could do here to beat this defense. I like to call this defense an absolute. And pretty much what an absolute is you're probably going to get outsped. Most likely you will get outsped because this thing is really fast. Right? So, you can contest speed if you're confident enough with your speed. But, so this is one way to beat it. I can just Lucian him. Obviously, you need to be speed tuned to do this, so that's one way to beat this defense. Otherwise, as you saw in the previous example, I used Luis to nullify the Perna, and I pretty much ignored the Perna the whole battle. You can do that with Ciara as well, and you do that by picking Rina. You pick Rina, and now you can pretty much ignore the Ciara the whole battle, if and only if you pick 2 fire units. And this is important, because the Orion can defense break. So if I were to pick a wind unit as well, if the Orion defense breaks my Ganny, now the Ciara is going to bomb the Ganny. So on the other hand, if I were to pick 2 fire units, if the Orion were to defense break one of the fire units, it's still okay because the Perna won't bomb the fire unit. Right? So you kind of have to play around with the elements for this defense if you want to fight it in a more honest way, I guess is the best way to say it. I guess the dishonest way would be to Lucian it. I don't know if that is the right term, but so I would tank the Ciara, and I can ignore the Ciara for the rest of the battle, and then the focus would be to kill the Fire Beast Rider. So we could do that by doing a double fire. So that's 1 fire, that's another fire. This defense, or this offense that I've chosen, will win at a decent % chance. It loses to RNG. It loses to a Vile-procs here, and then she hits multiple times, and my Garo could die. If she Vile-procs, my Garo dies, right? So it does lose to RNG in that sense. So because of that, I'm just going to Lucian it. Because remember, this guy is Guardian ranked. You can see from his auras that he's Guardian ranked. He's really slow, but he's Guardian ranked. So because of that, I'm not going to hold back anything. I'm going to give it my all in terms of all my resources, because I know he's dangerous. So that's, again, it's called an absolute. It pretty much, it's a term that only I use. No one else really uses that term, but yeah. Yeah, these defenses are really low in win rate. I really don't want to fight those. We're not going to look at Nat 4 defenses. Come on, give me the strong defenses. Is it a waste to kill this? Probably. We could do it though. Let me see. Is there anything that's strong that we could fight here? Ah, jeez, these are so weak. We'll fight this one. We'll use the example of picking. I just started eating. Well, I finished eating my dinner, and I'm not sure what happened because I wasn't looking, but after I was done eating, I looked and I was like, oh, we died. So that's interesting. So let's go ahead and actually fight this again. So wind damage dealers or other wind units you could use. Bulwark's a great option. Camilla's also a great option. So pretty much we're looking for a water tank that will ignore the Fenyang. And either of these is a great option. Let's go with the Bulwark. Next thing we need is some immunity, or some immunity, and then we need a wind tank. Those are the recipes. There's just parts of the recipe that we need. Well, wind tank is not an absolute need, but it would help a lot. Otherwise, we can just pick 2 other tanky units. So let me see. What do I want to pick? Immunity. I mean, the options aren't exactly like. We don't have that many options, right? So, oh, I never used my Wusa. I could use the Wusa instead, actually. Let's go and just do that. We'll use the Wusa. I'll go with the accuracy lead just because these guys, like, the Jan does have decent accuracy, probably just because she awakens into accuracy. So we'll do that. And last pick, I'll go with this, just because the Tessarion can deal with the Wind Panda at the end. So we'll use the accuracy lead. So I'm not really sure what happened to allow my team to die last match, but if you are to copy that team format, it does work. So I don't really care too much about the Perna. Even though I reset the GN, that is the accuracy lead. Well, yep, that thing is super high in resistance. That's got like 100 resistance probably. So the accuracy lead didn't do much there. But it's kind of whatever. We'll just kill the Perna real quick. Damn, that Perna hurts. Oh, lucky Vow proc. And my Wusa is a crit damage Wusa, so that's dead. Yeah, I mean, this works a lot better, obviously, but I'm gonna get defense broken by the Panda unless I do this. So, I mean, yeah, it's just pretty quick and easy. I'm just gonna heal. He's gonna cleanse it off. Actually, I reset his cooldown, so he's not going to. Okay. And triple turn. Annoying. Just reset her anyway. It's fine. The Wusa is gonna cover me with immunity, and we'll be fine. So this may have been overkill, but it is what it is. Oh, that's a Nemesis Jan. Okay, that's interesting. Die. Just die. Yeah, the Nemesis is just, that's a lot of turns. Okay. So this is the next crucial part, and you want your immunity to be up, and you also want to defense break the panda when he has those buffs up. Which what that means is right now is not a good time. Like, let me show you. Right now is not a terrible time actually, but I just kind of want to illustrate a point. So we provoke and then he cleanses. That's the thing, right? That's the point I'm gonna illustrate. If he has no buffs on him, you don't want a defense break at that time, because if you do, then he will just cleanse your defense break and your oblivion off. So right now, as I said, he has buffs. 1 turn buff. This is the perfect time to land the defense break, and we'll just do that. The defense break, because as you see, he didn't cleanse the defense break yet. And now he's dead. Cool. Okay, so let me see if we have more defenses that we could do stuff with here. Oh, guess not. Let's go with this one. This is another absolute. There's a 24 lead, Lauren, and Daphnis. If you're not confident with their speed, then don't do what I'm about to do. But it's just a pretty quick and dirty way to one-shot them. You see, that thing is fast. Look at how fast that Lauren is. It's really fast. So, very quick and dirty way to kill it. It's an absolute. If you are not confident with their speed, then dealing with using a shield in a Daphnis is just never a good idea. This defense is really dangerous. You kind of just want to, as you see, he's a C3 player. You want to kind of like push that to the side and let someone else handle it. This defense is weak for a very big reason. There's no defense breaker. And the reason why that's important is if I did this and this, I could 2v3 his defense and click the auto button. If I have destroy runes on both of these units, then I'll tank the Ciara forever, and then all the fire, all the dots from here, the Juno will just heal it up. And then the Iris has no function whatsoever. It just kind of does nothing. Because my destroy runes, it doesn't do anything. That being said, we're not going to do that for 2 reasons. Reason number 1, I don't have my Juno ruined, and reason number 2, because not everyone here that's watching has Juno. So, again, very similar concepts. We're gonna find a way to tank the Ciara. That could be by Tetra. You could actually go with that, because these guys are probably ruined on Despair and that thing's stunned. So, Josephine, one of my MVP units for sure. You could go with that. Whatever you want to really tank the bombs. I'm gonna go with Rena to tank the bombs. And then after that, we have Iris. Iris is there to strip, and then the Rika's there to put dots. So, and let's go with the Tetra, actually. The Tetra, my Tetra's rune's pretty ghetto. It's only got 20k HP, actually, so this thing is very likely to die if there's 2 bombs landed on it. So maybe not a good idea, actually. We'll go with the Camilla, just whatever. Rika, and then Iris. Okay, so again, there's no defense breaker, so if you have Juno, that's the best way to go about it. You can try to copper dose this defense, though the thing is, this Iris is probably 250 Despair, and then that has a 24 lead, so unless your Emesity has over 275 speed, maybe not the best idea. Could you do it? The answer is yes, you could. But should you? If you're fast enough, you can, right? So that answers that question. Rika. So yeah, I'm really just like kind of mentally blocked here, trying to find a way to beat the Rika, because usually I just kind of Lucian these, or I copper dose these. As you can see, I have many different copper doses that are built. I have a lot of coppers and a lot of bulldozers. These are all different coppers and different bulldozers, by the way. I have more in my storage. But so obviously I'm telling you guys pretty much make your copper dozers. Make multiples of them if you can. But if you don't have multiples, then I'm just going to try to find a way to beat this. So we have a way to tank the Ciara. Good. Rika's a damage threat, and then the Iris kind of doesn't do anything if you don't have immunity. So you could definitely bring immunity. like, I'm bringing the Fran, right? But I'm not bringing the Fran just for the immunity, because the immunity will work sometimes. Iris doesn't always strip, obviously, or even if they use another stripper, the stripper doesn't always strip every single turn, and it's not that consistent. So the immunity will sort of sometimes keep you protected. But even more important than that is I'm bringing a healer. And this is going to be somewhat of a longer fight, not really, because they don't have that much healing. But we need a way to kind of survive the battle, right? So that's what the Fran's there for. Final unit, I'm going to bring his Vigor. Well, actually, scratch that. I was going to bring Vigor, but then the Vigor would get bombed. I'm looking for another healer that can kind of sort of do damage. So Fire Monkey's the pick here. Damn it. Well, this will beat it, but yeah. Okay, well, it looks like we're taking our field back now. So this is another one of these absolutes. Like I said, that's an absolute, that's an absolute. I outsped both of those. This is another absolute, right? I have this defense built as well, so we could take a look at that. There's my Ciara, there's my Iris. It's kind of shitty because these are super old runes, and there's my Rogue. You can see that the Rogue is sort of fast, right? So with the Rogue's base speed and that, what is that, 280, yeah, 280 speed plus the 24 lead, that he's over 300 speed. So I'm gonna assume that this guy is the same way. He's somewhat fast, right? So very dangerous defense here. So I'm gonna tank the Ciara using something. Then next we're gonna deal with the defense break and then the Rogue. Now here's the scary part. When you get defense broken by Lauren, the Ciara is going to target your unit as well. That's the scary part of this defense. So the best way to beat this defense, honestly for me, is to skip it. Because it's going to be hard for me to beat it. But just because that thing is kind of fast. It's not even 300. It's only 299. It's fine. It's one of my slower fast units. We'll use it anyway. I should outspeed him. So after we do that, let's see, how do I want to approach this? I could use my Rogue as well, actually. I don't know. I'm kind of at this point. I'm kind of messing around, but this should work. I'm kind of running out of resources here, but this should work. So pretty much the plan is we drop their attack bars with the Chiwu, and then we just go wild on them. Wow, this guy. Jeez. Okay. Okay, well, fine. We'll take this guy. Okay, he's C2. We'll take him. Same thing. This is the Ciara. This is an absolute, as we talked about. There's the Ciara plus the defense break. So this is a very dangerous defense. And then the Rakan hits like really super hard. So it's fine. We didn't get to attack those defenses, but what we did get is still valuable since I did still explain kind of my thought process. So again, a water tank that can handle it. In this case, I'm bringing the Bulwark because the Rakan has buffs, right? The Rakan buffs, so we can use the Bulwark here. And we have to go double fire. Well, we don't have to. You can go wind as well. I mean, you could go other things as well. But I'm trying to keep this as simple as possible. I'm going to bring the Garo. This is my Garo. He's kind of squishy, but it should be okay. I can bring my second Garo. The second Garo is a little tankier. So let's bring the second Garo. So the second Garo, the reason why I'm bringing it is because we should go with the squishier Garo. So when the Rakan collapses, if it hits the Garo doesn't die. Unless this is a violent Rakan, which case I should bring this one. Realistically, the tankier Garo is better. Okay, so we brought those two, and final unit, let's go and bring the Monkey King. Let's do that. Wow! What is going on? Jeez, okay, I'm getting robbed here. Okay, I'd like to fight those. So this guy is another Guardian ranked player. You could tell by the lightning on his Tyrannus. Lightning plus wings. So as you can see, I'm kind of running out of options as well. This is kind of nearing the end of the box. So what that means is we're gonna have to innovate some. So because of all the different buffs that are gonna come out, I'm gonna bring the Bulwark. He'll function as a strip as well. So the thing is, the Tyrannus shouldn't do too much to my Bulwark because I have 95 resist. And what I'm gonna do to, I guess, accentuate that more, if I were to hypothetically bring a fire tank, the fire tank will tank the Molong, and if the fire tank were to get defense broken, the Tyrannus will still preferentially hit the water unit, my Bulwark, instead of hitting my fire unit. So that's the purpose of that. Both of these units kind of heal, so they kind of function in a harmonious way. Final unit, I kind of just want to have fun around here, so we'll take Ciara. You could take anything you want here, as long as you have those first two components. The final component is damage. So Ciara works here. Don't bring a Theomars here, because if you bring Theomars, now the Tyrannus is gonna hit your Theomars, right? Don't bring another fire unit unless you're okay with that other fire unit being hit by Molong. If you have Perna, for instance, Perna works here because you should be okay with your Perna being hit. And then there's a Harmony here. So this should work. So let's just have fun and hit this. Finally, I can do an attack without being interrupted. So, yep, typical. Oh, good. It's saved. So, as I said there, you see I got defense broken, but my monkey didn't get hit by the Tyrannus. So that's the intention there. So, let's just start healing up a little bit. Alright, so I've taken some damage, but now my water tank is gonna not heal because there's no buffs on the field yet. Ooh, wow, look at that. I'm gonna detonate so that he doesn't target my monkey, because he might target the monkey. Huh? What? Hello? Huh? Where? Huh? What? Where's his HP? What? Okay. And he has almost no HP based on what my Bulwark just revealed. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Like they give Guardian rank very questionably sometimes. But it is what it is. So he's kind of interesting. Very interesting. No bombs. Very, very interesting. Okay. Whatever. Okay, we detonate and that's gone. So, if my Ciara dies, this can be somewhat painful actually, because Bulwark versus Harmonia is not exactly the match that I want to go through. And there's a cleanse. Yep, that's fine. And strip, thank you. I don't have to cleanse. Interesting. Okay, never mind. Life is funny. Alright. I think that's a sign that I should put more accuracy on my Ciara. Because this Harmonia is pretty well built. It has a lot of resist. Okay, at least I got the dot. Good. Okay. Alright, we're almost done here. I almost went through all of my attacks, and I hope that this helps. Okay, this is one of the stronger defenses. I like this defense because I have a preset, and it's this, except two of my units are gone. So that Molong can stun, that thing can stun, that thing can sleep. So the Josephine is a great pick here. So now I need another wind tank, which is not my wind monkey, which I don't think I have any more wind tanks because I'm out of options. So the other option is we'll just go 2 fire tanks, and we could do that. Let's take a look at what I still have. Fire tank. Okay. I need something that's a wind tank that can sort of heal, or another fire tanky healer unit. I could use that. Alright, the reality is I can't beat this defense. Right now I can't beat it, so we're gonna skip it. Though, okay, these two have really low win rates, I'm not gonna hit those. Okay, what's this? Yep, so this is the thing in the beginning that we saw, high win rate. Let's go ahead and fight it. So we could bomb it if we want, but probably not a good idea since there's a Harmonia there. So let's just go with Skogul. Skogul with that's not ruined. Oh, that one's ruined. Okay, so we'll go with the Skogul here. So the Skogul tanks the Garo, and the Skogul can kill the Miho. So it's kind of like a 2-for-1. We go with the Kamoon because Kamoon is really strong. Final pick here. We don't need a healer necessarily, but I could choose a healer if I wanted, or we could just go with more damage. Yeah, the healer is optional here. So we pick Vigor. Vigor is one of the... So here's the thing. Back then, Beladion was one of the few only units that were free to play that were available that could defense break and heal. It's only Beladion. And then afterwards, if you pull Anavel is another unit that can defense break and heal. That's how rare this role is. A defense breaking healer, there are not that many of them. So the fact that Vigor has a defense breaking heal is really strong. So you want to use him when you can. Wow! I'm getting robbed here. Okay, what does he use? So he uses a passive canceling unit, so that's one way to do it, since all 3 of the enemies have a passive. I'm not gonna fight that. Alright, I think that we've done some good battles here. I can't attack any other things, really, so we'll go ahead and call this a day. But once again, if you want to really like get into this process, this mindset where no matter what defense you encounter, you have somewhat of an answer, or you have a logical process to help you find an answer to effectively beat whatever you're trying to beat, then I want you guys to try to implement what I'm showing here, right? Like, try to identify the threats and think of a logical way. What do you have in your box that can fit these roles that will help you identify the threat and beat them? So go ahead and send me screenshots. Like, let's say for instance you're gonna go here and you, I don't know, pick just hypothetically, this is obviously not a good pick, but let's hypothetically say you did this. Send a screenshot just like this, right? Send that screenshot to me and explain to me why you chose these options. And maybe you won, maybe you lost, but explain to me why you chose what you chose. And I will read your explanation, and I will proofread, and I will edit, and I'll tell you, okay, your logic was good here, but your logic was bad here, and this is why you lost. So that is how you learn. And if you want to personally be kind of like me personally answer those kind of questions, send those to me on Discord, and I will get to you. I'll get back to you when I get back to you. All right. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next Siege battle.